Chad is set to become the first African current junta-led state to move to democratic rule with today's presidential polls. Now, it will end the three-year transition imposed after the sudden death of the long-serving leader Idriss Déby Itno while fighting rebels. But his son, the successor, Gen Mahamat Déby, is one of the favorites to win. There is some skepticism about whether this will bring about change. Now, the Prime Minister, Succès Masra, is among the 9 challengers and is seen as his biggest rival. This start of voting was marked by delays, with polls opening an hour behind schedule in certain areas. Well, joining me on the program right now to shed more light on this and to discuss this further is Dr. David Matsanga, African Affairs Analyst, who joins in from Nairobi, Kenya. Dr. David, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much for joining, for inviting me to the show.
And as always, it's always a delight having you. Now, let's start off with this. This, of course, is a pivotal period for Chad. How important is a day like this in the country's history?
First of all, it would have been a very important historical day had the opposition leader who was supposed to be on the ballot been alive. But as it is, it stands very well that the opposition leader is no more. The first one was killed, assassinated in some attempted coup that failed, and the government went to assassinate him point blank in a bullet in the head. I was in Chad myself, Jamena, from last year, December, January, February. I met the leader, the current leader, and sat down and we discussed quite a number of things on security, in terms of security for the continent of Africa. But what surprised me most was the feeling by the people that come what may, the elections will be conducted whether they were ready for it or not. So it would have been a historical day if all people were allowed to take part in elections without any hindrance. But there are so many rules. I have looked at the rules that they have put, no photographs, no contacts with the international bodies. This is going to create a very big dilemma for the people of Chad if the election takes long for announcement. The 21 day up to 21st of May is when the first results will start trickling in. What is that? What do you think? People expectations will rise and attentions will come.
Now, I mean, you said quite a couple of things, but are you also suggesting that this might just be, what I call it, eye service arrangement that, okay, since we have decided to become democratic, let's run elections, even though we know that the current leader is a candidate who, I mean, it's really hard to beat incumbent, in the elections most times. So, I mean, do you think the whole process is just pure lip service as against the actual intent of it?
I think it is lip service, really. The gentleman, my friend, the general is going to win. The son of Idriss will win these elections, maybe with a landslide majority that is needed for the parliament. But remember, there is a very, very, very important factor about Chad. Chad houses refugees from Sudan. The Sudan war is going to affect the situation in Chad. Already in Darfur, most of the people fighting is taking place, and it looks like all the people from Darfur, most of them, the children, the women, the humanitarian catastrophe is affecting, overshadowing the elections in those parts of where refugees are. Secondly, we have a problem here. Chad has been a center, now a center of the French troops that have been chased away from West African states, especially Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. They have made a turning point in Chad. it also creates another problem. Already there is tension between America and the Chad. And you see the Chad government has told Americans to leave. So this is going to play about if anything goes wrong and if anything works against the elections, and that some murmurs come that it was rigged, because already you can see the army voted yesterday. Whom will the army vote for? If you have 20,000 or 30,000 armed men, you already have those votes. They will vote for their general. So look, these are some of the things that could bring tension, which is already building up in Jamena as we speak.
Now, Dr. Matsanga, according to some reports, they consider this election in Chad as a milestone for countries in West and Central Africa that have fallen under military rule since the spate of coups began in 2020. Now, they feel, according to this report, that it may serve as template for junta Sinke to maintain political influence after first coming to power illegitimately. Do you see this as the case?
I see it as a case if the African Union had condemned Chad. Brother, you know very well, one of the things that I have disagreed with Mahamat Faki, who is from Chad himself, he did not condemn the coup. The gentleman just replaced the son with the dead father. I was not very comfortable with the way Mr. Idriss was killed. And I still have queries on how a honor general could be just killed at the front line without, and the ceremony took so short a notes, and they installed the son. Macron flew into Chad. I opposed some of the things that they did, and I was in Chad, and I laid all this to him. I said some of these things are going to hold back. It is the only country in Africa where it was not condemned that a military man took over from a civilian man who had been shot and killed by the rebels. Who are these rebels? One of the points that we must make up and speak out as Africans. Whose rebels are these? We have over 30,000 rebels in South Libya, trained by General Khalifa Haftar, who are causing inroads into Chad, destabilizing the entire corridor of the Nile Basin. So we must be very serious people, candidly speak. The AU chairperson, who is from Chad, has not brought out Chad on the map the way he has brought Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Criticized Sudan military regimes and the Guinea-Conakry. Why have we not done so? We should have done something that, well, is one of the landmark elections, but a landmark elections when actually opposition leaders are missing. You have just brought people, flower girls, to escort you to an election where you will win. It is not a landmark election for me, but it is a step forward towards the democratization of Africa, which we have been looking for. If we can have a military man, the gentleman takes off his uniform and becomes one of the civilians, that's okay. We shall do it with that. But there was something wrong in the killing of the father, and there was something wrong with the rebels who are in South Chad, who still pose a threat to this government of the younger man.
I mean, let's look at General Déby right now. I mean, he has tried to dismiss concerns that, of course, he is part of a dynasty. In his words, he said, if I'm elected, I will serve my 5-year term, and at the end of my term, it will be up to the people to judge me. As for dynasty, our constitution is very clear. Candidates cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms. Do you think there's some element of sincerity in this speech?
First of all, I am one of those people who does not believe. I believe in fair competition, not dynasty. You can come from your father and you can stand for elections. So it is from Chad. It's not from any other country. He can stand for elections, whether he is from the father Idriss or from anywhere in Chad. It doesn't mean it should not be part and parcel of the democratic dispensation of Chad. On the question of of taking over from the father, a family business. That one I am one of those who tells people elections must be free and fair. And he could be defeated if it was free and fair. The only problem we have with such elections is that it might not turn out to be as the opposition wanted. But the question of dynasty does not arise in African politics. It is, of course, if your son has got interest in taking up a place, why not? In Uganda, we have the same. And if President Museveni's son takes up a post to go ahead and run a government, let's compete with him. We might defeat him. It is up to us to organize our parties, but not to call him a dynasty. A dynasty, is he going to die? There is a job of a presidency. He's a Chadian man. Let him take over. If he can win the election free and fair, I have no problem. But if it is just stealing the votes, that's where I have a problem.
All right, Dr. Matsanga, before, of course, we roll the curtains, let me also ask you this. I mean, Chad, looking forward, Chad is one country that, of course, has major security issues, and also the economy needs, immediate attention. Now, for the new leader, what does the future hold for the country, and what should the leader, or what can the leader do to ensure that the country is put in the path of security and also prosperity?
I think the most important thing for Chad now is to create employment for the unemployed, the younger generation, the youth that need employment, to create stability. The biggest problem is stability. You have Boko Haram, which is crisscrossing all the Sahara region, all the way from west, the Dakar, up to this place in Red Sea. We have the Boko Haram, we have ISIS, we have Al Qaeda, we have all cells, sleeper cells around that region. Another problem that we have is instability that is coming from Libya, which is one of the states across that region that is building and breeding more rebels that are going into being used as mercenaries to topple governments in that region. The geopolitical situation or geopolitical states, especially Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and France, are going to play a pivotal role in the stabilization of that region, especially France. One of the problems he has to tackle is how does he maintain the anti-French wind that is sweeping across West African states and Central African states. You remember all the states around there are telling these people, excuse me, pack up and leave. You have drained this state. You have drained Africa for 400 years. You continue to drain, to take our diamonds, our minerals, our gold, our oil into France, while you leave the people of Chad and the people of Africa with nothing, poverty, no lights, no power, no roads, no schools. Those are the challenges that this young man must face in the 5 first years, which I know he's going to win an election. He's my friend, I will congratulate him, because he doesn't have opposition really. The man who could have opposed him is the man who was shot, and he's no more here, he's with the maker. So if he doesn't do those, he face a problem, and he could face a problem from his own money. The other point before we depart is the question of rebels. Whose rebels are these? Whose rebels are in the South Libya, in north of the country called Chad? Who is funding these rebels? Who pays for their uniforms, new guns, new ammunition, new helicopters? Who is funding these rebel groups in Africa to torture this continent of Africa? African Union must, after the departure of Dr. Mahamat Faki, we are going to raise questions as to who has been funding this army that has destabilized the Nile corridor. And for me as a person, for me as a Pan-African, I am proud to say my words. After all, I've reached that age that I don't fear about death. I have to say the truth
Dr.
and
David
set the
Matsanga.
record straight. Thanks.
Dr. David Matsanga, deeply, of course, we appreciate you. Thank you for making out time to be on the program today. And as always, we are glad to always have you.
Thank you very much. All the time, call me about the landmark demolitions. I will come.
Of course, maybe we'll also look into that. But once again, thank you so much. And that's a wrap on today's episode. In case you missed it, you can always catch up on our YouTube page. Of course, the name still remains News Central Television. My name is Dakbo Adegboye. The opinions of our guests remains theirs and not that of News Central. Bye for now.